Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for Strange Issue 5. Interesting cover, and I really enjoyed this one. It kind of finished up what we had gotten with the whole kind of assault by the Blasphemy Cartel, but then had us have this interesting kind of team up with Clea and Moon Knight to get her kind of idea of how she's trying to figure out how to bring Doctor Strange back, and then a pretty interesting reveal at the end, which makes a lot of sense. So we see that Umar the Unrelenting is not someone to be fucked with because she's drinking the blood of the people that she's killed. She's like, oh no, this is a vintage. Just like, well, you do not fuck with her. All right, and if you do, you got to make sure you don't get killed and then she'll drink your blood. And Clea is, of course, commenting on the fact that's not something she needs her neighbors to see because, yeah, trying to explain that one. And then we pretty much get Clea talking with the Harvest Man to pretty much give us information on what the Revenants are, and we actually get a pretty good rundown of what they are in a kind of interesting way. Now, granted, this is pretty much an info dump for what we need to understand, but at least it's done in a way that we're able to easily digest and isn't just completely like, oh god, he's just talking all the time. There's at least dynamic kind of shifts in shots as he's explaining this, where there's something that is introducing kind of like a siren song that sings to them that beckons these souls back to life, and these souls have pretty much been there so long that they don't have a sense of self or identity. And the thing is, the superheroes and the supervillains, it comes down to identity because a hero is a symbol. So they kind of combine together and possess these dead costumed heroes and villains, and it's a gestalt that's able to cross over. But the thing is, it's powerful but dangerously insane, as the Harvest Man's talking about that. And it's like, oh shit! And then she's trying to figure out what the connection is between them and the Blasphemy Cartel. And that if mere gangsters have command of the Revenants, as Clea talks about, that's a bad thing. It's like, yes, Clea. Yes, that very much is. So Harvestman's like, I don't have that info at this point, but I'll investigate. Death has charged me with this, so I'll do this. Clea's like, well, it looks like our goals overlap. The thing is, my only thing that I want is Stephen Strange. And he's like, nope. Abandon the goal. Death has him. Forget it. And she's like, I was made to forget him once, and I'm not going to do that again. And he's like, he's not worthy of that. And then Umar's like, who the hell was that? Harvest Man, Death's Sorcerer Supreme. And she's talking about Clea having a horrible taste in men. And she pretty much calls the night. Umar then insults Wong's cooking. And it's like, you've never dined here before. Because she's like, oh, his cooking's pedestrian as always. You never fucking really had it. What the hell? But she talked about how the entertainment was pretty good, and then trying to pretty much get her to go to the realization to conquer the world, even though she's like, I'm not. So she then shifts over to talk to Mr. Knight in his house, and it's funny because she's like, I don't think your house likes you very much. And it's like, it makes it nervous, so how can I help you? And then, of course, brings up that she wants to talk to him since he's able to, revive, and that there's also the heroes and villains returning from the dead, and that, of course, he owes Wong a favor, so he owes her a favor, and then talking about how she had recently dispatched his brother, which was Shadow Knight, evidently, which I'm like, okay, cool. And he's like, oh, okay, Randall's been killed again? Well, then I owe you too. So then he's like, all right, listen, I got work tonight, so just tag along, as he then shifts to his Moon Knight persona and goes around. And it's kind of cool because even though I'm kind of at least semi-familiar with Moon Knight, people who would be reading Strange could potentially not be, and we get pretty much a very well done kind of background check on him as we're doing this. It's like, alright, she wants something that's not an ordinary soul, Sorcerer Supreme, and Death won't simply let him go. And he's like, well, you people work at a vastly different level, as he then goes to find this 8-ball dude to kind of scare him. He's like, I don't have magic powers. I have to scare people, Clea. And it's cool to see them doing their different kinds of stuff. And he's like, I've got to scare everyone. And and then just like does what the fists of Khonshu do. We die, Khonshu brings us back to do his work, and then we keep dying and coming back because the work never ends. And then Clea's like, huh, that's interesting. Why does he have such liberties with like life and death? And of course he's a god for one thing, so life and death currency is kind of pocket change to him. And she also asks him if he needs help beating this one dude up. He's like, no, I got this. And then he's trying to like say, hold on, Clea, for a minute, as he's trying to get info from the dude, and he's like, not a chance. And then he's getting ready to keep beating on him, and then Clea goes into her Faltine mode and pretty much scares the shit out of him. It's like, ah shit, and puts them to the ruins of Innsmouth Hill Sanatorium, Long Island. These people are like abducting people. It's like, all right, where are you taking people? It's like, all right, this is kind of weird. So they get in, and Moon Knight pretty much tells her to find the abductees, and she's not having that. She's like, why the fuck are you ordering me around? And he's like, you're faster than I am, and I can't die. And it's like, yes. And that, like, it's really cool to see a team up like this kind of go down, where it's like, okay, why are you ordering me to do this kind of thing? And it's a matter-of-fact thing. It's like, I'm slower, you can get there faster, I can't die, so I can fiddle and fuck around with these weird-ass motherfuckers. So she uses her compass, she gets the abductees, and of course we see her kind of in battle mode here, but then she kind of gets the people, and we see that she goes into help mode, into Clea Strange, and I really do like that the artwork's able to sell that kind of different kind of shit, because she is here to help people, and that's an important thing, because we had seen her previously go, I'm gonna burn your ass, and then she's like, hey, I'm here to save you. It's just really kind of cool, and I've liked learning and seeing these sides of Clea. And Moon Knight's hitting this one dude. He's like, listen, you calling me a freak, but you're eating people's brains, dude. And he's like, shit. So she kind of helps him out, and she's like, all right, what the fuck? They all eat brains. He explains that they need it for the phenylethylamine to live that's only found in brains. He's like, yes, I must consume human brains to live. He's infected his men with the same condition to fully research it. He's like, can you fault me for wishing to live my life? And Moon Knight's like, good night, Dr. Payne. And Clea finds another solution to pretty much portal him out to a place that's more apropos for him. Moon Knight's like, yeah, if he kills more people, it's going to be on you. And she's like, I don't think he's going to have that problem among the mindless ones as he's running from, like, laser shit and everything. I'm like, that's a very good way to deal with that. Good job, Clea. It's like, okay, cool. Great Titanic team up regardless. And she thanks him for his insight into Khonshu and everything. And then he's talking about his experiences coming back from the dead. You need someone with the power and influence to do it, the kind of power and influence a god has. And even then, you're only doing it so you'll work for them. Strange would be a good get for a god or any other in power with serious influence and pull, but who would be powerful enough to get a former Sorcerer Supreme to work for him? There's only one that I can think of. It's like, yes, she's reached the conclusion that we're kind of thinking of at the same time, as we then see the Harvest Man talking with Death, and it's like, all right, what's the news? Have you punished the Revenant? He's like, no, I got there with all speed, but I was too late, and the Sorcerer Supreme claimed him. And evidently the Sorcerer Supreme is overstepping her bounds. And it's like, I can get that because that's Death's domain, but if there's some weird fucked up amalgamation of like souls making a Revenant that can like do superpowers and hurt people, the job of the Sorcerer Supreme is to protect those within their realm and everything. So yeah, that is her purview and everything, you know. Now granted, usually you'd want your Sorcerer Supreme or your emissary to kind of deal with the Death, but if the Sorcerer Supreme of the living gets there first and they're able to deal with it, I think that works out pretty well. And of course, Death wants to like require correction for her, but then we of course see that the Harvest Man takes off the mask saying, no, my wife is a fierce, courageous soul who she should not be punished for her nature, as we find out that Doctor Strange is Harvest Man, which makes sense. It's like, it's a good reveal, and even though you pretty much put it together after the information that you've gotten, it's still a good reveal. It's like, oh shit, let's see how this kind of works out. And talking about like Clea fights for love and hope for reunion, as does he, and you might have me as your harvestman, but my heart remains hers. And it's just really kind of nice and interesting to see Doctor Strange with like a full-on gray that actually looks pretty well. I really like this artwork. It just really sells it in his harvestman form. So I really like this. I liked seeing Clea interact with the larger Marvel universe, going to Moon Knight for help, because that makes sense because of how closely he is tied with death and life and resurrection and all that. And to see them team up was a kind of cool thing, because I I have not really read that much about Clea, but from reading this series, I really like her and really like seeing how she interacts with other people. Well, interacting with her mother and dealing with that, and interacting with the Harvest Man, and then figuring out the Harvest Man's identity and everything. And it's going to be interesting to see how all this stuff dovetails with what's going on with Death's Domain, with the Revenants and everything, and what the Blasphemy Cartel is doing as well. I do like that this has been balanced so far, where I don't think it's like that slow of a reveal. It's taken us 5 issues to figure out who the Harvest Man is, which I think is actually a pretty good amount of time. It's not too long, it's not too short. If we'd been going like 20 issues or whatnot, it might have been a little bit weird if you'd been putting all these kind of red herrings. But we have a nice kind of balance of the Harvest Man and Death are trying to deal with their kind of situation, and the Blasphemy Cartel is part of that as well, because they're the ones using these Lazarus agents / revenants. So we'll have to see what their kind of whole thing is now. I hope we get kind of more focused on that going forward. Not that we've lacked focus or whatnot, but we'll see kind of at least a little bit more movement as we go forward. But I'm enjoying this ride. I do like the mystical kind of stuff. I like seeing how Clea utilizes her role as a Sorcerer Supreme differently than Strange does, because of being of the Vault Team and being the Sorcerer Supreme of the Dark Dimension, and what that kind of entails, and what that kind of powers gives her in certain fighting scenarios, like we had seen with the Blasphemy Cartel being like, you can't use magic, I can use it from the Dark Dimension, motherfucker, wah! And then doing what she does. And I like seeing her being able to shift between, I will rain hell on your ass, and I'm actually here to help you. It really gives that kind of flavor to her character of like, yeah, there's certain things that I don't like she does, which since she's from the Vault Team, she's got kind of a different view with Warlords and everything, but she still has that kind of goodness that's inside of her, that she's still able to present that good kind of front, like, I do want to help people. So, those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.